Everyone, it's a pleasure and privilege to talk at the PhD Welfare Foundation Forum. And good afternoon. When I joined Kirloskar Brothers Limited, I had returned from major in mathematics and biology from Bryn Mawr College. And after graduation, I worked for a VC firm called Polaris Partners that specializes in technology, healthcare, and consumer products. From Polaris, I moved on to working at the Institute at MIT, where my team and I were able to develop a dengue vaccine candidate, which we published in the journal Health. As a result of this research outcome, my team was hired off along with me into an MIT medtech startup called Vistera that specialized in antibody-based therapies for infectious diseases. So at Vistera, we began commercializing this product, and of course, for a pharma company and a pharma product, it was starting off with clinical that last anywhere between 5 to 15 years. So when I decided that rather than doing repetitive work for the next few years, it would be better to return to India and have a better ROI in the family business. So now I had a lot of work experience, but it had nothing to do with our family business. However, my area of study, coupled with my research background, taught me that the scientific method gave me to study any topic of interest in detail. My induction process at KBL began in the R&D department. I learned a lot about different kinds of pumps, their design, how they're made, and I was particularly fascinated by how pumps are made. KBL is really a one-of-a-kind company when it comes to in-house value addition. We do everything in-house, right from metal casting in the foundry to machining, assembly, testing, in packing, in-process quality inspection and dispatch. There are very few manufacturing companies left in the world where one is exposed to the end-to-end manufacturing process. Today, even auto companies are just mere mass production units consisting of automatic assembly lines that cannot cater to high variety. At KBL, we have around 3.5 billion SKUs, which is a ridiculous number of SKUs to have. But we cater literally every kind of fluid, and different require different types of pumps. They require the pumps to be constructed from different metallurgies. So after my induction, which lasted for about 2 years, we restructured the business, and I was put in charge of a department called Product Portfolio, which essentially looked at new product development, putting the right products in the right markets, and determining that price points and compliance to geography. And this gave me a very understanding of products across companies, including products such as valves, tidal turbines, and steel turbines, which we also make. So after running the product portfolio management department for a while, my father decided to let me run Kirloskar Ebara Pumps Limited, or KEPL as we call it. And this will be my 4th year at KEPL. It has truly been a very enriching experience that I will always cherish. I have enjoyed growing this company. It involved a lot of challenges, but then again, nothing worthwhile is ever easy. KEPL is a manufacturer and designer of American Petroleum Institute, or API certified pumps and turbines that primarily go into oil and gas refineries, oil pipelines and depots. And we cater to other sectors such as nuclear, chemical, fertilizer and cogen applications as well. It is primarily a B2G and B2B business, and some of our customers are PSU sectors such as Indian Oil, Hindustan Petroleum, Bharat Petroleum, ONGC, and some global oil giants like Saudi Aramco, ADNOC, AdGas, Qatar Petroleum. I won't go through the whole list, these are just to name a few. So KEPL has a very complicated product with very strict quality guidelines. An average life of our product is around 30 years of installation. We have products running from 1988. Customers demand close to zero downtime, and prompt service and spare part deliveries are extremely important, as oil and gas is a critical application and machine breakdown is just unbelievably expensive for oil companies. So some of my learnings from the work experience I've had so far. The best way to learn how to be a CEO is to actually be one. There is a plethora of unanticipated scenarios and problems that you need to face as CEO, and one can really not prepare for this role. You have to experience it to know it. Just like you have to experience meditation, you can't learn it. I believe the stress and adversity that one faces brings out the best in an individual. it's better to experience adversity when you are young than old because it molds you into a different person and helps build character. As a biologist at heart, I always like to draw parallels from nature. In developmental biology, one learns that the heart actually starts beating even before it is formed. In fact, the very act of beating allows it to form into a fully developed heart. Therefore, function defines form, and business has the same effect on an individual. Business forces you to function in a manner that changes your form. And this avatar that you take on makes you business ready. So I truly believe that anyone aspiring to be a business leader really needs to actively participate in the business and not be a backstander. There is another fundamental difference between my generation and the ones before. Gone are the days where people work in areas they have degrees in. Today it's more about application of knowledge and more knowledge is knowledge. We see engineers becoming consultants, mathematicians becoming lawyers, medical doctors heading large pharma companies. These are becoming more and more interdisciplinary, merging into one another. And you have areas of study like mathematical modeling of biological systems, biomimicry, which is a field that draws inspiration from nature to solve design challenges. Fields are growing every day, and you notice that most science students, especially ones that have degrees in fields like quantitative biology or nanotechnology, their knowledge becomes obsolete within 5 years of graduation. That is how fast these fields are progressing and expanding. New age solutions will be interdisciplinary, which means that we will have to accept the fact that we will not be able to solve new age problems alone. We need to be able to work in teams that have diverse skill sets. If you are not going to be able to solve problems alone, then it does not matter what skill set you have. What you need is the ability to work in teams and be able to apply knowledge of concepts from one field to another. You need to be passionate about your work and always stay curious. Curiosity is especially important because that is going to enable you to keep learning and keep up with the expanding fields of knowledge. I'm glad that I'm not a mechanical engineer. If I was, I don't think I'd be able to add as much value as I can today. Having diversity of skill sets gives one the ability to be a lateral thinker and think in novel and transform mature and saturated industry into a high-tech new age field. For example, application of Industry 4.0 or 3D printing in our companies have transformed them into high-tech multidisciplinary engineering companies. This interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach will encourage many disruptions to take place. And companies need to be aware of disruptive technologies that emerge, as these disruptions may not necessarily come from your competitor. It could be one industry segment disrupting a totally unrelated industry segment, because you may build a product that can have applications across industries. So one needs to be very alert of new and emerging technologies, even if they are in seemingly unrelated fields. We also see a high number of women in the workforce. We have an all-women and managed facility at a village called Sanyur, which is located right outside Coimbatore. We employ around 200 women here between the ages of 19 and 35, and it is one of our most productive plants, assembling one pump every 17 seconds with the lowest rejection rate. We also introduced this at one of our older plants at Devas, but the labor unions began demanding having all women across all. And the reason they wanted this was because all women lines were way faster than the rest. If I had to draw another parallel from nature, we noticed that all female armies are highly successful in leveraging their superior powers of collaboration to achieve a multiplier effect. Whether it is a female army of termites or bees that create structures many times their size, or a pride of lionesses that collaborate to take down prey much larger than themselves, it is evident that even armies of women in factories are able to achieve this multiplier effect. We notice in our factories that women have a very innate understanding that the well-being of the unit ensures their own well-being. They're extremely supportive of each other and ensure that everyone is able to contribute productively. And that's why all women workforces tend to give higher productivity. We will be increasing the number of women significantly across all our manufacturing plants, especially in our retail mass production facilities. We have a precision casting facility that was inaugurated about 2 years ago that has a 70% women workforce that specializes in the lost foam technique, which is similar to the lost wax foundry process. It's lighter as foam. and it allows us to cast complex pump geometries in high-grade metallurgies that result in enhanced pump efficiencies for our customers. So we have been focusing on expanding our global footprint. We have an ambitious product development pipeline, and we have strategically acquired companies outside India that have enabled us to become global but also local players in geographies such as the United States, Europe, the UK, and Southeast Asia. So in a nutshell, you need to have a thorough understanding of your business. You need to first know what's in the box to be able to think outside the box. Otherwise, you'll end up just thinking you were thinking outside the box, but in reality, you will be ending up reinventing the wheel. And the two important attributes for success is curiosity, keep learning, drive. Drive is very important. It's a combination of passion and perseverance. And that will, there will be a lot of failures on the path of success. And only drive will give you the ability to get back on your feet every time you fall. And the third is the ability to work in different points of view. So on that,
Rama, that was, when I talked about the future of the nation, when I talked about Honorable Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar Bharat, so you are one of those who are going to take our nation, make our nation Atmanirbhar Bharat. Congratulations. Keep it up, Rama.